Good morning. We're back again. So today is the day, NCT day. So very, very quickly, if you don't know what the NCT is, I've mentioned it on my channel a million times because it's quite frankly the bane of the Irish citizens' existence, because it's a pain in the arse. It's a roadworthiness test that you have to do every year, same as an MOT in England, stuff like that. They brought it in here in, I think it was 1999 or 2000, maybe, I don't remember for sure. But it came along at the same time as something called the scrappage scheme. So say if you had an old Ford from the 90s, or a Starlet, or a Carina, or a Civic, or an old Peugeot, Renault, anything at all. If you brought it to the NCT and it failed on a bunch of stuff, which most of the time they did because there was no mandatory maintenance at the time, more often than not it would cost more to get the work done to get it a pass on the test than the car would be worth. So what happened was dealerships would give you an absurd amount of money for your old shitty car they would give you that much off a new car. So if you brought your old shitty, falling apart, rusty Renault Clio into a Ford dealership and you bought a Ford Mondeo at the time or something like that, you'd get a crazy amount of money, like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 euros off the price of that new car. So those two things, the scrappage scheme and the NCT scheme, both kind of killed, not necessarily, or what has now become classic car culture, made it kind of difficult to own a classic car because most of them just got literally scrapped in the scrappage scheme in the early 2000s. So the way the NCT works is, if you buy a brand new car, let's say if I bought a brand new car today, 2024, my first test date would be 4 years from now in 28, and then it would be every year for the life of the car, unless you get a car to 30 years old, like my Honda, like the lowrider, then it's every 2 years. And then if you have something that's over 40 years old, you don't have to NCT it at all, which is cool. It's quite a big advantage, but the likelihood of it's rare that someone has anything that gets that old, but it does happen. But anyway, do I think it'll pass? Yeah, I hope so. I really do, because if you've watched the last couple of videos, the underside of this car is in really nice shape now. It's got discs and pads on all four corners. It's got a good service a couple of months back, or 2 or 3 months now, so hopefully emissions won't be too high, all of that kind of stuff. I guess the only way to know is bring it in and do it, I suppose. But the only annoying thing about the NCT is, don't get me wrong, it's a good idea and it promotes safety and cars being safe on the road, blah blah blah. But as for actually having a car tested, it's kind of a grey area, because you go in there and there's, let's say, some of the test centres are open 24 hours a day, so there's 3 shifts, 4 shifts of mechanics or whatever it might be, and all their opinions are going to differ. Let's say if there's brake pads are not super worn but fairly worn, one NCT tester might say, yeah, that's a fail. Another one might give you what's called an advisory, which is still a pass, but he'd say you'll need to change those soon. Same like with tyres or a bushing in a car. So you could get one lad in there who's an asshole and he'll fail you on every single thing. Or you could get a guy that's just a normal dude and like, yeah, it's not bad, but here's a couple of things you'll need to do very soon, but they're not bad enough to really fail, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of grey area. So it's, when people say, do you think a car will pass NCT, it's like asking how long is a piece of string. Do you know what I mean? It's a complete and utter gamble. So all you can really do is put it through and hope for the best. So I'm on the way now. My appointment's in half an hour's time, but usually they don't get to you for like 15 minutes after that. So now you're not supposed to record in the NCT centre. So I guess for liability purposes or something, because things happened in the past, not with me, but with NCT centres in general, that people have gotten in trouble for. So now they tell you you're not supposed to record. I might try, we'll see, but probably not. But I guess I'll be back to you when I either pass or fail. back again. We're done. So do you think, did we pass or fail? Stick it down in the comments there whether you think I passed or failed, and we'll see if anybody gets right. So I would consider it in between. It failed, but on very, very small things. So I'll stick a little picture up here of what the failure points were, and we'll have a quick little chat about it. Now, the first one that you'll see there is the driver's window doesn't work. Now, I knew that used to be a fail, so maybe regulations have changed or something like that. But now I knew that going in, and neither of the front windows work on this car. So it makes me think maybe there's a wiring issue or something like that, as opposed to just being a regulator. But we'll take a look at that in a while. The second one there you can see, and this one pissed me off, and it's a perfect example of why different people will have a different opinion, kind of, if that makes sense. So I've had this car tested 3 or 4 times, I think 3. The guy before me had it tested, and the guy before that, and all that, and it's always had, as far as I know, because I've seen older pictures of it, has always had the windows tinted, that you can see right here. Now obviously the back is darker, but that's never a big deal. But these failed. The limit is supposed to be under 6, if it's under 65%, as in the amount of light it lets through, and apparently mine measured at 59%. So, which, yeah, fair enough, that's below the limit, it's supposed to be a fail. But I even said to the guy, how is it that the last couple of times I've had this car passed, it wasn't an issue? And he said, well, look, I tested it with the meter there, it was below the limit, the tints on the window have to come off. So I wasn't going to bother arguing. I thought I'll ring the customer care inquiry and see what I can do. So the last thing anyway is just a couple of bulbs on the front. Now they're LED bulbs that they're very, very dim, just because they're old, so that's not a big deal to swap those out. But anyway, I rang the customer care people before I left the centre and asked them what to do, and she said you can go back in, ask for the team leader and talk to them about it, see if anything can be done. I thought, grand, I'll do that, I'm still here. So I got back out of the car, went in and gave the lady the sheet. She asked for the team leader, and it turns out, unfortunately, it's the same lad that tested the car. So there was no point trying to argue it. I just said, look, don't worry about it. I took the sheet back. I said, he's the guy that tested it. He already told me there's nothing I can do about it. So as much as I hate letting stuff like that slide, there's no point really arguing. Now, do I care about the tints on the front window? Not really. I'm not that bothered by it. I could always have them done again another time, but you can see yourself, they're so light there. I mean, there may as well not be there, which again surprises me as to how they failed, which makes me think one of 2 things happened. Either the last couple of times it's been tested, whoever tested it just didn't bother checking and just looked at them by eye, maybe didn't do it with the meter or something, I don't know, or just simply forgot or didn't care, or the machine is wrong, one or the other. Now obviously I haven't changed my window tint, obviously, but again, it's a perfect example of how a difference of opinion and human error, for want of a better word, can decide whether you pass or fail the test. Because stuff like that just really, really annoys me, and the fact that I'm kind of having to let it slide. It'd be one thing if it was a different fella that tested the car, that wouldn't be such a big deal, but the fact that I was already kind of not arguing with this dude, was questioning him, there's no point. It's a losing battle, especially in a place like that with people like that. So we're on the way home now. I've gotten a lovely fresh cup of tea. We're going to drink that and we'll have a look. We'll throw a few bulbs in it. It might be, I'm hoping it might just be fuses for why the windows aren't working, but if not, we'll investigate that a bit further and pull off these window tints, I guess, and go back in. Luckily they're all only what's called a visual inspection, which means I don't have to book a full retest for it. You can just rock up to the test centre at any time, and so whoever's free will come out and just literally visually check that you've changed whatever the test or whatever the failure points were. So we'll get that done as soon as possible, because I know this to be a big drawn out process, but we'll be back soon. All right, we're back home in the shed. So first thing I'm going to tackle is the windows, because obviously I can't really get the tint off. Well, I probably could get the tint off without the window going up and down, but ideally I'd rather do the windows first. So let me just show you. So if ignition on, and nothing, all you can hear is the switch clicking. Now other side doesn't do anything, but you might be able to hear this, but when I press the passenger window side on this side, you can hear something clicking on the passenger side door. And also the switch for the passenger side window doesn't work from the passenger side either, so that means it's not the main window controls, if that makes sense. So it could be a fuse, could be a relay, something like that, I have no idea. But I have a passenger side window relay. It's over there somewhere in our window regulator, I mean. Because originally, when I bought the car, that window didn't work. I put a regulator in, it worked fine for a while. Then this one stopped, and I bought a regulator for this one. Maybe it was this one I bought a regulator for. I'll have to check in a minute. But then, whichever one I bought a regulator for, a few days later, the other one stopped working. So I've had no front windows working for probably a year and a half, if not a bit more now. So it's time enough to fix that anyway. But I definitely have to fix it now for this NCT. So let's go dig around for fuses and see if we'll start with the simplest explanation first, and we'll go from there. All right, so we've pulled off the fuse box cover, and it says that all the windows should be 20 amp on the top row, the 4 of them there in a row right here. So got my test light there hooked to ground. I'm not sure how well I'll be able to show you any of this, but hang on a while, spin you around. So we've got ignition on now, let's see what happens. So ideally, if we've at least power, we'll know. Right, we've power either side of that. Yeah, I get the feeling this mightn't be a fuse problem. Yeah, okay. I thought I heard something clicking there. Right, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I've got power on all 4 of the fuses, so that means it more than likely is the regulator. So let's figure out which regulator it is that I bought. I can't remember if it's passenger or driver side, but let's have a look. Further, I just had an idea. I should just check this one anyway. Now, knowing my luck, I wouldn't be one bit surprised. I know it's going to seem super staged, and it's genuinely not. I wouldn't be surprised if this fucking thing worked, because it occurred to me when the window came down. I wouldn't be surprised if the window's kind of getting caught in the wind deflectors, because that is a thing that you hear about. Like, say, if it's an automatic up window, it'll get as far as the wind deflector, kind of have a freak out and come back down, like it's getting stuck. So maybe the window's just stuck. I'm not sure. But let's plug this stuff in now, and we're gonna bring it to you live here now and see. So we put this guy in who goes what way? This way. Right, so that's plugged in. We have the ignition on. So let's bring it closer so we can see, you can bask in my my glory if this does still work, or my idiocy, whichever you prefer to call it, same thing. Right, so let's see. Right, that's down, nothing. Can you see? Probably. Up, nothing. Right. So let's make sure that's all plugged in properly. That's weird. I guess it doesn't work. Right. One last try. No. Okay, I guess that one doesn't work. Right. Let's check the other one. Oh, wait a minute. Before we do anything, look. I was messing with it. Can you see? I was unplugging it. We might have a broken wire or a bit of a frozen something there. Watch. Working now. That's up. Or sorry, that's up and it was down. So it is working. So I'm wondering, do we either have a loose wire somewhere, or maybe this is just on the way out? But if it was enough to get me through the NCT, we might be alright. So I think for now, I'm going to clean up the edge along here, because it's all full of moss and shit like that. We'll put it up, we'll reassemble it, grease the shit out of everything, grease the shit out of the window track and all that kind of stuff, and maybe give that motor just a few bangs of the hammer or something like that. So there might be stuff stuck in there or something. Assemble it and see what happens, because if I could go back into the city today and get a test, it'll be brilliant. If not, it'll be a couple of days, but let's see how we get on. So I took the glass out. I figured now was the time to do the getting the tint off while the regulator and all that stuff is out. Seems to be working, lubed it up, all that kind of stuff. We'll cover that in a minute. So I spoke to a good friend of mine, Marty, up in Donegal. Does window tinting and body work and stuff like that, so he'd know what he was talking about. So he reckoned heat gun, brand new blade, which I've got, and just take your time with it. Now, inevitably there's going to be residue left on the window, but I guess there's not a lot I can do about it. Now there is a tear in the tint there. I could start from there and kind of come down, but I think I'm going to start from here and just try and get it all in one go. It'd be great if I could. Any residue that's left behind, I'll just get soapy water and like a kitchen scour kind of thing, like a scuff pad or something, and we'll see. So let's go with this, I suppose, and see how we fare out. I suppose I'm hoping this goes pretty easy, but I guess time will tell. Look at that, all in one go. Like, look at that, that's barely tint. That's ridiculous to be failing on that, but here we are. Okay, look at that. I know you can't really tell on camera, but there's essentially no residue left. I'll give it a clean now in a second, but like, that has come out brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It didn't take that long either. Let's see, what are we at? I know I sped it up, but that took 15 minutes. Very happy. We're good. We got our pass sheet. I forgot to mention earlier that you can book your appointment up to, or the maximum of 3 months early. So you're only supposed to get obviously 12 months if you do it when it's due, but you can do 3 months early. So now today is what, the 20 something of November, 24 obviously, and my new test date is, let's check, or my new cert is valid until February of 26. So I got 15 months ish, which is great. So it's one less thing to worry about for now. The guy came out, he just asked me to turn on the parking lights, put the window up and down. The window, when I say barely goes up and down, I mean just about. If you picture like an old person walking with a frame, that's what the window is like, going up and down. So that regulator is motor is definitely on its way out. So I'll replace that at some point, but for now I don't need to worry about it. Like I said, I've had no windows working for about a year and a bit now, so it makes no difference to me. As you can see in the background, the tints are taken off. To be totally honest, I expected to kind of see a bit of a difference, but I see no discernible difference whatsoever, to tell you the truth. So, but he measured the windows anyway with the light meter thing again. I had brought the old tint just crumpled up just in case. They said, well, did you actually take it off? Even though it's glaringly obvious that I did. But anyway, so that's that done. That's all the work from the last couple of videos. Well worth it, all paid off. I'm very, very pleased. Still one or two things that we might do with this car. I took the front lip off it today for the testers when they put it down into the brake tester, brake roller thing. It has gotten caught there a couple of times before, so I just figured I'd take it off today. But in doing so, it really bad, I know I said it in another video, but it really badly needs to be painted. So I might do that myself. I've got, I think, 2 or 3 cans of the same colour matched aerosol that I used before, and while it's not a perfect match, it's okay. So that might be an interesting project for over the winter. But other than that, the wagon is pretty much finished up now. I have nothing else to really do with it. I want to change all the bulbs, to LED bulbs just because it looks nicer. But other than that, this car is pretty much ready to rock for another year of daily use. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If any of you out there have Accord wagons like this, and you have interesting information or questions about, you know, things that might be different or something, if you've only just bought one, by all means give me a shout. You can check me out on Instagram, all the usual places. But for now, from a fairly nice sunny evening, considering it's the middle of October, peace.